Raj was always the first to arrive and the last to leave. He walked slowly, his shoulders slightly hunched from years of sweeping long hallways and polishing glass doors. No one noticed until they were dirty. Every morning at 6 a.m., he pushed open the heavy back entrance of Blue Ridge Corporates, a shining glass building that looked like power itself. But Raj wasn't part of that power. He just cleaned its floors. The young employees in their shiny shoes and sharp suits never saw him as anything more than the janitor. They passed by him without making eye contact, talked loudly near him as if he couldn't hear, and sometimes even laughed behind his back. That morning, as Raj polished the silver frame of the elevator, 3 interns walked past him. "Dude, he's here before the security guard," one of them whispered, chuckling. "Maybe he sleeps here." Another added. Raj didn't say anything. He never did. He just continued wiping the handle until it shined like a mirror. One of the interns dropped his coffee cup intentionally and looked back at him. "Oops, I guess that's for you," he said with a mocking grin. Raj bent down and picked it up quietly. As the elevator door opened, the 3 of them got in, still laughing. As the door closed, one of them said, "Imagine being old, broke, and still working with a mop in your hand." Inside Raj's pocket was a small leather-bound notebook. It had a red ribbon on the side and Japanese characters on the cover. When he had his break, he sat on the 3rd-floor fire escape, opened the notebook, and began to read softly. "Wa, dare ni mo, shinjiraren," he whispered. The wind was cool. Birds sang above him, but deep inside, his chest held a quiet storm. He read each page like a prayer, each word reminding him of another life, a past buried deep under time and regret. Suddenly, a paper flew across the floor near the bin. Raj stood up and caught it before it slipped under the stairs. It was a crumpled draft of a presentation. He opened it carefully. It was in Japanese. Most people would have thrown it away, but Raj read it smoothly. His eyes scanned the kanji, like a second skin. And then, he smiled. Unknown to him, someone was watching. Sarah, a junior marketing executive, had come out to take a call, but froze when she saw him. She hid behind a pillar and peeked at him. Was that the janitor? Reading Japanese? She stepped forward, confused. "Excuse me, do you understand that?" Raj looked up. For a moment he hesitated, then he nodded. Sarah blinked. You speak Japanese." Raj gently folded the paper and handed it back. "Read it." "Yes." Sarah stared at him like he had grown a second head. "How?" He didn't reply. He just gave a faint smile and walked away slowly. Later that day, the office buzzed with excitement. A Japanese investor group was arriving next week. Everyone was nervous. The company had never signed such a massive deal before. Rumors said it was worth over $1 billion. Sarah whispered to her friend during lunch, "That janitor, he reads Japanese." Her friend laughed. "What, are you serious? I saw it myself." "Come on. Maybe he was just pretending." "I know Japanese when I see it," Sarah insisted, but no one believed her. Back in the cleaning room, Raj changed the mop water and looked at his reflection in the window. He touched the small burn mark near his wrist. A memory flashed in his mind, flames shouting. A man in a black suit, and a door slamming shut. He shook his head. The past was gone. This was his life now. The next morning, as he polished the elevator, buttons again. The same interns returned. "Still here?" One of them mocked. "Did you dream of mops and buckets?" Another joked. Raj said nothing. One of them accidentally dropped his folder. Papers flew everywhere. Raj bent to help pick them up. "Leave it," the intern snapped. "You'll mess up the order." But one paper slipped toward Raj's foot. It was part of the Japanese deal, clearly confidential. He picked it up, read a line out loud in perfect Japanese, and held it out. The intern froze. What did you say?" Raj looked him in the eye. "Your translation is wrong. That line doesn't say strong agreement, it says mild hesitation." The boy stared at him, wide-eyed. "You speak Japanese." Raj turned back to his cart. "Used to," he replied. The story spread like wildfire. By lunch, people were whispering in every corner of the office. "The janitor knows Japanese." "No way. I heard he corrected a translation. Is he a spy or something?" That afternoon, the CEO himself stepped into the lobby and called out, "Raj." Raj looked up surprised. "Come with me," the CEO said. Raj hesitated. "In my office." "Now?" He followed the CEO to the top floor on area Raj had never been allowed into before. The secretary looked shocked as the janitor stepped into the glass room. "Sit," the CEO said. Raj sat down slowly. The CEO placed a printed document in front of him. "Translate this." Raj read it silently. "It's a formal greeting, but the phrasing is too direct. In Japanese culture, this can be seen as rude." The CEO raised an eyebrow. "You sure?" Raj nodded. "Who are you?" the CEO asked. "I'm the janitor," Raj replied calmly. "No," the CEO said. "Who are you?" Raj looked away. Silence filled the room. After a moment, he stood up. "Thank you for your time, sir." As he walked out, the CEO watched him with a puzzled look. That evening, Sarah caught up with Raj near the staircase. "Why don't you tell them who you really are?" she asked. Raj gave a tired smile. "No one listens to a janitor." Sarah looked at him with curiosity. "But you could help. This company needs someone like you." "I help," he said softly. "Just differently." He walked away. But deep inside, Sarah felt something big was hidden behind his silence. Later that night, the CEO opened Raj's employee file. Education unknown. Previous job, unlisted. Languages, English, Urdu, basic Hindi, no mention of Japanese. He frowned. Then he picked up the phone. Get me his full background now. The next morning, as Raj entered the building, he noticed something strange. A high-security car parked outside. 4 men in black suits walked in. Inside the boardroom, the CEO was in a heated discussion. We need someone who understands not just the language, but the culture. The Japanese delegates are very particular. One wrong word, and the deal collapses. One of the men replied, "We heard you have someone unusual on staff." The CEO hesitated. "You mean Raj?" "Yes, we've been informed." "Who informed you?" But the man didn't answer. At that moment, Raj was cleaning the corner of the lobby when he saw one of the black-suited men. The man froze, so did Raj. Recognition passed between their eyes. The man nodded once. Raj turned away quickly. He went into the janitor's closet, locked the door, and pulled out the red notebook again. He opened the last page. There was a name, a face drawn in pencil, and a question written in Japanese. Did I do the right thing? He stared at it for a long moment. Then he tore the page out and burned it with a match. The flames rose briefly in the small metal sink. Outside, the company buzzed with stress and excitement over the Japanese deal, but inside, something much deeper was rising, a storm that had waited for years, and Raj, he had just started to remember who he really was. The morning sunlight bounced off the tall glass windows of Blue Ridge corporates. Everything looked perfect from the outside: suits, ties, important emails, expensive watches. But today, inside the building, something felt different. There was a quiet tension in the air. People whispered more. Eyes moved faster. Everyone was pretending to be calm, but underneath, nerves were shaking. The Japanese investors were coming in just 5 days. For most people in the company, it was the biggest opportunity of their careers. For some, it was their last chance to prove themselves. And for one, Manraj, it was the return of something he thought he had lost forever. But no one knew that yet. That morning, Sarah watched Raj from across the lobby. He was carefully dusting the flower stand, moving slowly but gracefully. She noticed how focused he always was, not just about cleaning, but in everything. Like every action mattered. She walked over to him. "Hi," she said. Raj looked up and gave a soft nod. "I wanted to ask you something. About yesterday." He kept cleaning. "Yes. That paper you read? You translated it perfectly. Did you learn Japanese?" He paused. In Japan, her eyes widened. "You lived there for some years." She smiled. "That's amazing. I've been trying to learn for 2 years. I still can't say a sentence right." He gave a small laugh. "It's a language that wants respect." "Exactly," she said. He looked at her. "But no one respects it anymore. They just copy it for money." She nodded slowly, sensing a deep sadness in his voice. Just then, a voice shouted from across the room. "Sarah, meeting room." Now, it was her manager. She rushed away. But something inside her kept turning back to Raj. Upstairs, chaos was beginning. The official translator the company hired had backed out. She had received a better offer elsewhere. The CEO was furious. "How do you walk away a week before the biggest deal of your life?" No one had an answer. "Find another one, today." Meanwhile, Raj was called to clean the 10th floor glass panels. He entered quietly. The room was empty except for one person, Mr. Kapoor, the CEO's senior advisor. Mr. Kapoor was staring at a Japanese document. Frustrated, Raj walked behind him silently. "You missed a spot on the left glass," Mr. Kapoor said without turning. "Yes, sir," Raj replied. Then Mr. Kapoor pointed at the document. "You can read this, right?" Raj froze. Slowly, he walked closer. "I can. What does this mean?" He pointed at a sentence. Raj read it softly. "This part says the investors prefer a long-term cultural partnership over short-term financial." Wince, Mr. Kapoor raised his eyebrows. "That's not what the last translator said." Raj said nothing. Mr. Kapoor looked up at him. "You know, you're a strange man, Raj. Many have said that." Raj replied calmly. Mr. Kapoor smiled. "You ever think of doing something more meaningful than cleaning?" "I do what I must," Raj said. Just then, the CEO walked in. "Kapoor, have you?" He stopped mid-sentence when he saw Raj. "Oh, you're here." Mr. Kapoor stood up. "He just saved us from a big translation mistake." The CEO stared at Raj. "I want you to attend tomorrow's team meeting, 9 a.m. Conference room A." Raj hesitated. "But sir, it wasn't a request." As the CEO left, Mr. Kapoor whispered, "Looks like your mop got promoted." Raj gave a faint smile, but his eyes stayed serious. That night, Raj didn't sleep. He sat in his small one-room apartment, staring at the red notebook. He opened the first page. There was a name, Yuki. He touched it softly. A tear fell on the paper. A knock came at his door. He quickly wiped his face and opened it. It was the building security guard. "Ramesh. Bye. Everything okay?" Raj nodded. "Yes, just old memories." Ramesh smiled. "Well, good luck tomorrow." Heard from someone you're going to a big meeting. Raj looked surprised. How did you hear that? Ramesh winked. News travels, even for janitors. The next morning, Raj wore a clean shirt, not new, not shiny, but clean and carefully pressed. When he entered conference room A, the room went silent. Some people looked confused, others smirked. What is he doing here? One employee whispered, That's the janitor, right? Raj stood quietly near the door. The CEO arrived and spoke clearly. Raj will be assisting with the translation, process and cultural guidance. Treat him as a team member. Understood. A few people nodded. One Mansama rolled his eyes. As the meeting started. Raj listened carefully. The marketing team shared their presentation slides. This is the first slide with Japanese text, said the designer. Raj raised his hand. There's a mistake in the heading. Everyone looked at him. It says death agreement instead of great agreement. The kanji is close, but wrong. Silence. The CEO looked at the designer. Fix it. They moved to the next slide. Again. Raj spoke up. This word here. It's slang. Very offensive in formal business. Samar laughed. Are we seriously taking language tips from the guy? Who cleans the bathrooms? The CEO turned sharply. Samar, out. Now Samar's smile disappeared. Aye, sir. I said out. Samar stood and left the room, red-faced. The meeting continued. One by one, Raj corrected minor mistakes that could have destroyed the meeting with the Japanese investors. When it ended, the CEO stood. Thank you, Raj. Raj nodded. I am just doing my job. As everyone filed out, Sarah stayed behind. You were amazing in there. He smiled softly. It's strange. I used to do this every day. She blinked. You mean, you worked in Japan? Yes. I was a language professor. I also worked with the Japanese Trade Council. Then what happened? He paused. I told the truth, and they punished me for it. Sarah's smile faded. Why? Because sometimes truth is dangerous when money is involved. She looked at him with respect. That evening, the CEO received a call. We looked into Raj's background. He lived in Tokyo for 12 years. His records vanished in 2003 after a trade scandal involving high-level corruption, but get this, he was never charged, just blacklisted. The CEO leaned back. So he was a whistleblower. Looks like it. The CEO rubbed his chin. Then why is he a janitor now? We don't know. The CEO looked out the window at the night sky, but he didn't know that outside the building someone else was watching. Samar sat in his car, hands shaking with anger. He picked up his phone and dialed a number. Yeah, it's me. Listen, we've got a problem? That janitor. He's not who he says he is. A voice on the other end replied coldly, then make sure he doesn't get in the way. That night, the city outside was busy as always, bright lights, honking cars, people rushing through their lives, like everything had a deadline. But in a small apartment above a bakery, Raj sat alone at his desk, staring at a black and white photo. It was old, folded at the edges, slightly torn at the corner. In the photo, a young Raj stood beside a Japanese woman. They were smiling, holding certificates. Behind them was a large sign, Tokyo Language Institute, class of 1993. Name was Yuki. Raj's hand trembled slightly as he touched the woman's face. He whispered softly in Japanese, You told me truth always wins. But you didn't tell me how long it takes. His phone buzzed. It was a message from Sarah. You did great today. Don't let the noise around you make you forget who you are. Raj read it twice. He didn't reply, but he smiled gently. It had been years since someone had spoken to him like that. The next morning, the entire building was humming with energy. The Japanese investor team had confirmed their visit date only 4 days away now. Teams worked day and night on slide decks, translations, business etiquette rehearsals. There were daily meetings, dress rehearsals, and stress everywhere. But outside the office, something else was happening. Samar was pacing in his living room, laptop open. He had spent all night digging into Raj's past. What he found made his blood boil. Old Japanese news archives. Raj's name connected to a 2003 leak of confidential trade documents. A whistleblower, some said. A traitor, others claimed. Nothing was ever proven, but the scandal destroyed a major trade deal between India and Japan. Samar picked up his phone again. You won't believe this, he said to a voice on the line. The janitor, he ruined $1 billion deal once, and now he's about to be involved in another one. The voice on the phone was cold. If that's true, remove him. Quietly. We don't want trouble before the signing. I'll take care of it, Samar said. Back in the office, Raj was cleaning the 7th floor hallway when he overheard 2 employees talking near the vending machine. Did you hear? We're planning a private dinner with the investors the night before the signing. Yeah, only key executives are going. Raj didn't say anything, but he made a mental note. Private dinners were important in Japanese culture. That's where real impressions were made more than in boardrooms. Suddenly, Mr. Kapoor appeared around the corner. Raj, he said, come with me. He took Raj to a private meeting room. The CEO was there too. I want you to prepare a briefing for the entire team tomorrow, the CEO said. Teach them everything they need to know about Japanese etiquette, expectations, business language. Raj was surprised. Me? You're the only one who understands the culture well enough. Raj nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. The CEO handed him a whiteboard marker. Make it memorable. The next day, at 11 a.m. sharp, the conference room was full. Young employees, senior managers, interns, assistants all sat quietly as Raj walked in with nothing but a notebook and a marker. He wrote one sentence on the board. Respect is not given, it's shown. He turned and began to speak. In Japan, business is not about speed, it's about trust. Relationships are built like temples, stone by stone. If you rush it, it collapses. He spoke about bowing angles, seating arrangements, handing over business cards with two hands, the meaning of silence in a meeting, the importance of listening more than speaking. Everyone listened, quietly, even those who had mocked him before. Some even took notes at the end of the session. He bowed slightly and said, "Thank you for your time." The entire room clapped. Sarah smiled. Mr. Kapoor gave him a nod of respect, but as Raj walked out, he found Samar leaning against the wall, arms crossed. You know, Samar said, not everyone is buying your story. Raj stayed silent. You show up out of nowhere, speak perfect Japanese, and act like a hero, but no one knows what you were before, or what you did. Raj replied calmly, the past teaches us, but it does not own us. Samar stepped closer. We'll see about that. That evening, someone broke into the janitor's closet. Raj's red notebook was gone. The next morning, Raj couldn't find it anywhere. He searched the entire building, from the basement to the top floor. He asked quietly, hoping someone had just moved it. Nothing at 2 p.m. The CEO called an emergency meeting. We have a problem, he said. He placed a printed sheet on the table. It was a scanned page from Raj's notebook, a sentence written in Japanese. Sarah picked it up and read it. Her face turned pale. What does it say? Someone asked. She translated slowly. The agreement with Yamato Trading Company was built on lies. The documents were false. Whispers filled the room. The CEO looked at Raj. Did you write this? Raj looked at the page. It was his handwriting. But it was taken out of context. That sentence was part of an old journal entry from years ago. It wasn't about this deal. I wrote it, Raj said softly. But it was not about this company. Then explain. Raj looked at all the eyes, staring at him. Some with fear, others with doubt. He said nothing. The CEO sighed. Until we figure this out, Raj, you're off the project. Sarah stood up. Sir, this is not fair. Someone stole his notebook. You're punishing the wrong person. But the CEO had already turned away. Raj walked out of the room without a word. In the hallway, Samar passed by with a fake surprised look. Shame, he said. Guess some people can't escape who they really are. Raj walked past him. He went to the rooftop, the one place he always went when the world got too loud. He stood quietly, staring at the sunset. Sarah found him there. Don't let them do this to you, she said. Raj didn't reply. I know that notebook was yours. I also know you were telling the truth in that note, just not about this company. He turned to her. Why are you helping me? She smiled. Because the first time I ever understood Japanese was from you. And the first time I saw real courage, it wasn't from a CEO or a manager. It was from you. He looked down. They'll never let me back in, she said. Then we go around them. How? She pulled out a small USB. I found security camera footage. Someone broke into your closet. It's all here. Raj looked at her, shocked. You. I told you. I'm with you. They watched the footage together. It was Samar, clear as day. He had gloves on, took the notebook, made copies, then put the original back a day later. Raj smiled slowly. For the first time in years, he felt something real hope. Sarah leaned in and whispered, now, let's show them who the janitor really is. The next morning, everything looked normal inside Blue Ridge Corporates. People walked around with coffee cups, phones in their hands, files under their arms. No one knew what was about to happen, and no one expected a janitor to hold the most powerful piece of truth in the entire building. Raj stood near the side entrance, holding a small USB in his hand. The same USB Sarah gave him last night, the one with the proof of who really stole the notebook. He felt nervous. His palms were sweating. His heartbeat was fast. For years he had avoided conflict, avoided being seen, but not today. Sarah walked beside him, giving him a quick look of encouragement. You ready? She asked. He nodded. Yes, it's time. Inside the conference room, executives were already gathering. The Japanese investors were arriving the next day. This was the final preparation meeting. Everyone was on edge. The CEO stood at the front of the room, looking over his notes. Samar entered with a confident smile, wearing a crisp new suit. He nodded at the CEO and took his seat near the front. No one looked at Raj when he entered. Some barely noticed him. Others gave silent glares. The CEO sighed when he saw him. Why are you here, Raj? I told you you're off the project. Raj stepped forward, calm but firm. Sir, I understand. But before I go, I need to show you something. It's important. The CEO frowned. This isn't the time. Sarah stepped in. Please, sir, just 2 minutes. If we're wrong, we'll leave quietly. Everyone in the room turned toward them. The CEO hesitated, then nodded slowly. Fine. 2 minutes. Raj walked to the laptop that was connected to the big screen. His fingers shook slightly as he inserted the USB. Then he opened the folder marked Security Footage, Evidence. He clicked play. The room fell silent. On the screen, they saw clear footage from the janitor's closet, timestamped dated. It showed Samar entering the room, wearing gloves, looking around, unlocking the storage drawer, and taking out Raj's notebook. He copied pages, then disappeared into the shadows. When the video ended, the silence in the room was heavier than before. Everyone turned to Samar. His face had gone pale. "That's not what it looks like," he stammered. The CEO stood slowly. "Then explain what it is." Samar looked around desperately. I thought he was hiding something dangerous. I was protecting the company." "You framed him," the CEO said coldly. "And you tried to destroy the one person who actually knows what he's doing." Security guards entered the room. "Escort Mr. Samar out," the CEO said. Samar stood, frozen. "You're making a mistake." But the guards already had him by the arms. As he was dragged out, he screamed, "He's lying. You don't know who he really is. He ruined a deal in Japan once. He's a traitor." The door slammed behind him. Everyone was silent. The CEO turned to Raj. "Is that true?" Raj looked around the room. His voice was calm but clear. "Yes, I was involved in a trade deal in Japan years ago, but I wasn't the one who ruined it. I exposed the truth. There was fraud, millions being stolen. When I spoke up, they erased my career." "Why didn't you tell us before?" someone asked. "Because no one listens to the janitor." There was a long pause. Then slowly, people began to nod. The CEO walked forward. "Raj, we need you now, more than ever. The Japanese team arrives tomorrow. We can't afford to make a single mistake." Raj said nothing for a moment, then he nodded. "All right, let's prepare." The rest of the day became a whirlwind. Raj led meetings, guided slide preparations, helped practice formal greetings, and even trained the top executives on how to offer a business card the Japanese way with both hands, a bow, and eye contact. Sarah stood beside him the whole time, amazed at how he carried himself. By evening, the office looked transformed. The energy had changed. People were no longer whispering behind his back. Now they were asking him questions, requesting his help, and even calling him sir. Later that night, as the office emptied, Raj sat alone in the meeting room. He opened his red notebook. Though many pages were now gone, some remained. He flipped to the last one. It was blank. He took a pen and slowly wrote in Japanese. "Tomorrow is not about revenge, it's about honor." He closed the notebook and smiled. But outside, someone else was watching. At the far end of the parking lot, a black car sat quietly. Inside, a man in a black suit was talking on the phone in Japanese. "He is here," the man said. "Yes, the same Raj from the old case." "No, he hasn't changed. He still believes in honor." The voice on the other side said something cold. The man nodded. "Understood." He looked out at the building, eyes narrowing. Tomorrow would be a big day. Not just for the company, but for secrets, long buried and truths, long silenced. The morning had never felt so serious inside Blue Ridge Corporates. From the shining floors to the smell of fresh flowers in the lobby, everything had been cleaned, polished, and prepared to perfection. Every staff member wore formal clothes, shoes shined, ties straight, smiles tight. Behind those smiles, nerves were rising. Today was the day. The Japanese investors were arriving. A billion-dollar deal was on the line. One wrong gesture, one poorly chosen word, one broken rule of culture, and everything could fall apart. That's what made everyone quiet. Except for Raj. He wasn't loud. But there was something steady about him that made others breathe easier. He walked through the office wearing his old but neatly pressed shirt, holding a file with keynotes in Japanese. People made way for him now. Even the most senior managers nodded with respect. He walked into the CEO's office just after 8 o'clock. "I'm Raj," the CEO said. "You'll be in the room with us for the full meeting. I've told the investors you're our lead cultural consultant and advisor." Raj blinked. "You trust me with that?" The CEO smiled faintly. "You earned it. Twice." Raj nodded. "Then I'll do my best." "Just one more thing," the CEO said. "They've brought a special guest with them. Their own cultural liaison? Very high level. We weren't told in advance." Raj raised an eyebrow. "Who? We don't know yet. But apparently, this person already knows you." Before Raj could reply, there was a knock. A voice said, "The investors have arrived." Everything moved quickly after that. 6 men and 1 woman entered the boardroom, dressed in elegant suits, calm and formal. Their faces gave nothing away. They bowed politely, and everyone bowed back. Raj stood near the far end of the table, observing everything carefully. The CEO began the introductions, and small talk followed through the translator. The Japanese investors listened, nodded, and responded with short, thoughtful answers. Everything seemed to be going well until the 7th guest entered. He was younger than the others, with a sharp face and eyes like ice. He walked in last, calmly, with his hands behind his back. Raj turned and saw him. For a moment, his face changed, just slightly. It was him, Mr. Kenji Sato, the man who had led the investigation against Raj in Japan all those years ago. The man who had taken his career. His voice had nearly his life. Kenji stared at Raj. expressionless. Then gave a short bow. Raj returned the bow, equally calm. Inside, his heart thundered. The investors sat down. Kenji took a seat across from Raj. The meeting began. First, the CEO gave a well-practiced speech. Raj translated it into polite, formal Japanese, adding gentle expressions and respectful phrases. The investors nodded in approval. Then came a product demonstration. Then financial reports. Everything moved smoothly. Raj continued, guiding the tone and timing. He caught small mistakes before they became disasters, like when one manager nearly interrupted the investor mid-sentence. Raj placed a hand on his shoulder, silently stopping him just in time. But the real test came after the break. Kenji stood up and addressed the room in Japanese. No translator. He looked directly at Raj. "I'm surprised," he said, "to see you here." Raj replied calmly, also in Japanese. "It has been a long time." Kenji took a slow step forward. "When we last met, you disappeared without a word. People assumed you were ashamed. I had no reason to speak. I wanted to hear the truth." Kenji nodded. "And yet here you are, standing again, speaking again." He turned to the investors and spoke rapidly. Then he turned to the CEO. "May I ask a question?" The CEO nodded, confused. Kenji looked at Raj. "What makes you worthy now, when you ran away before?" The room was quiet. Raj stepped forward. His voice was steady. "I didn't run," he said. "I was erased, not by accident, but by design. I spoke up about a lie. I exposed fraud. I thought someone would care. Instead, I lost everything." He looked at the investors. "But in silence, I studied. I cleaned floors while listening to meetings. I folded napkins while reading law. I never stopped learning. I never stopped remembering your language, your customs, your heart. Because even when people fail, culture doesn't. Truth doesn't." Kenji looked at him sharply. "You still believe in honor?" Raj smiled. "More than ever." One of the senior investors leaned toward Kenji and whispered something. Kenji paused, then gave a slow nod. The investor turned to the CEO. "We will continue," he said, with him present. The CEO smiled. "Of course." The rest of the meeting flowed better, softer, more human. The investors smiled more. Jokes were exchanged. At one point, the oldest investor even asked Raj, "How did you keep your Japanese so fluent?" Raj bowed. "I cleaned a lot of floors while watching a lot of Japanese news." They laughed. Finally, after 4 hours, the lead investor stood. "We are ready," he said. The signing ceremony would happen tomorrow. Everyone clapped. Some even sighed in relief. But as the investors left the room, Kenji stayed behind. He walked up to Raj quietly. "Tomorrow," he said in Japanese, "you'll sign your name next to mine." Raj looked him in the eye. "Then I'll write it with pride." Kenji nodded, then leaned closer. "But remember, some people are still watching you, waiting for one mistake." He turned and left. Raj stood silently for a moment, then turned to Sarah, who had been standing quietly near the door. "He's testing me," Raj said. "He won't win," she replied, as the sun began to set. Raj sat alone in the now empty boardroom. He looked at the pen he would use tomorrow, a golden one, placed in a small velvet box. He touched it gently. So much had been taken from him, his name, his country, his voice. But not tomorrow. Tomorrow, he would write his name again loudly, clearly, and in full view of the world. But outside, in a black car parked down the street, a man with a camera was taking photos of the building, and of Raj. He made a call in Japanese. "He's more dangerous than we thought." The voice on the other end replied, "Then stop him, before the deal is signed." Next morning, the air inside Blue Ridge Corporates felt heavy. Everyone was smiling, but the smiles looked stiff. Eyes were wide, shoulders tense. Because this was the day the contract would be signed, the biggest moment in the company's history. And Raj was at the center of it all. He arrived early, wearing a black suit for the first time in many years. Sarah handed him a soft blue tie and helped him straighten it. "You look like a CEO," she whispered. Raj smiled nervously. "Let's just hope I can still breathe in this thing." Outside, a black car pulled up. The Japanese investor stepped out, calm and polished, as always. Behind them walked Kenji. He was carrying a folder. Inside that folder, something dangerous. They entered the boardroom, where everything was already arranged. Papers were stacked neatly. Pens were in place. Tea was being served with exact timing. But lead investor, Mr. Nakamura, spoke first. "We are pleased. Your team is efficient. Your vision is strong." Everyone smiled. "We believe this partnership will grow fast. In both countries." The CEO nodded proudly. "We're honored." Just then, Kenji stood up. "I would like to speak before we proceed." Everyone turned. Kenji opened his folder. "I was asked to investigate Mr. Raj's background, not officially, but quietly, out of caution." A pause. Raj stared at him. Kenji placed 2 papers on the table. "This document shows that Mr. Raj was once charged with falsifying reports while working in Tokyo. The charges were dropped, but the suspicion remained." Gasps filled the room. The CEO looked at Raj. "Is this true?" Raj's face darkened. He stood up slowly. Yes, he said. I was accused by the same system that protected the real criminal, the man who was skimming millions from the company. When I exposed it, they called it betrayal. Kenji cut in. There is also a recording. From that time, may I play it? Without waiting for approval? He pressed play. A shaky old audio clip echoed in the room. A voice, Raj's voice, was heard saying, I will destroy this company if they don't listen. Another voice, you will be blacklisted. Then silence. Kenji stopped the recording. Everyone stared at Raj. Raj looked down. For a moment it looked like he might sit in shame, but then he did something else. He stepped forward and said in Japanese, I remember that day. I said those words, but not with hatred, with pain, because the company I gave my life to had become a place of corruption and lies. He looked at each investor. The full recording was never shared. Only those 6 words were saved, because they could be twisted. Sarah, standing by the door, suddenly stepped forward. I have the full recording, she said. Everyone turned. I found it in the old drives Raj gave me when we first cleaned out the storeroom. I didn't think it was important, but I listened last night. She pulled out her phone. Shall I play it? The investors nodded. This time the full conversation played. Raj's voice. I will destroy this company if they don't listen, because the man stealing from you is one of your own. Another voice. You will be blacklisted. Raj, then I'll go silent. But one day, someone will hear the truth. The room went still. The investors turned to Kenji. He sat back, face unreadable. Mr. Nakamura stood. You tried to shame a man using half-truths, he said sternly to Kenji. But you reminded us why we believe in full truth. He turned to Raj. We would like you to sign the deal. First, Raj's eyes filled with tears. He bowed deeply. Arigato gozaimasu, he said. Thank you. From the heart, they handed him the golden pen. He signed his name slowly, every letter clear. Everyone applauded. The deal was done. But just then, Sarah's phone buzzed. She glanced at it hand. Her face turned pale. Raj looked at her. What is it? She showed him the screen. A news alert. Former janitor involved in corporate scandal now signing billion-dollar deal? Truth or trick? Raj stared at the headline. Under it, a photo taken from outside the office, zoomed in on his face. Someone was trying to destroy him again, and this time, they were using the media. Raj stood frozen, holding the phone. The news headline glared at him. Former janitor involved in corporate scandal, now signing billion-dollar deal? Truth or trick? More notifications flooded in. Every outlet had picked it up. Social media was exploding. Hashtags like #JanitorScandal and #FakeHero were trending. The office staff looked confused. The CEO frowned. The Japanese investors were whispering among themselves. Sarah's voice broke the silence. This is a smear campaign. Raj nodded slowly. Yes, and it started the moment I signed that deal. Kenji stood near the glass wall, arms folded. Watching quietly, the CEO turned to Raj. We need damage control. Fast. Raj didn't speak. He was still staring at the photo. The angle? It was taken from inside the building. Sarah whispered. Someone in here leaked it. Mr. Nakamura stepped forward. This article raises doubt. We may need to pause the contract. No, Raj said firmly. Please, give me 1 day. 1 day to prove the truth. The investors looked at each other. Then Mr. Nakamura nodded. 1 day, no more. Raj and Sarah rushed out of the boardroom into the hallway. Tension hung heavy. Sarah said. We have to find who leaked the photo, and we need to trace that article. Raj nodded. Start with the article's writer. She pulled out her laptop and began searching. The author's name is fake, but the domain is linked to a shady media firm. Who's funding them? Raj asked. She clicked, typed, zoomed in. Her eyes widened. Oh no, what? She turned the screen toward him. Kenji. Raj's jaw tightened. They rushed back inside, but Kenji was gone. The boardroom was empty now. The investors had left. The CEO was on the phone, yelling into it. No, we're not pulling the deal. He earned this. When he saw Raj, he hung up. What's going on? The investors are nervous. Our board wants to back out. They think you're hiding something. Raj spoke softly. I think we know who's behind the article. The CEO raised his eyebrows. Who? Raj hesitated. Kenji. Silence. Then the CEO laughed. But it wasn't happy, of course. He's got enemies everywhere. But why you? Sarah answered. Because Raj is the symbol now. A former janitor. Rising to this level, it scares the old guard. Raj added. Kenji works for someone who doesn't want this deal to happen. I'm just in the way. The CEO exhaled. Can you prove it? Raj looked down. Not yet. The CEO rubbed his forehead. You've got 24 hours, or I'll have to pull you from the public side of the deal. Back at Raj's small apartment, everything felt heavier than usual. He sat on the couch, laptop open. Sarah brewed tea in the kitchen. His hands trembled not with fear, but rage. Sarah came over and placed the cup on the table. I've found something. She showed him Kenji's financial transactions hidden under a dummy name. One of the accounts had received a big deposit 2 days ago from a company in Osaka. What is this company? Raj asked. She smiled. That's the fun part. It's registered under an old executive from your Tokyo past. The same man you exposed years ago. Raj's breath caught. Yamato, the man who had ruined his career. Sarah nodded. Looks like Yamato is still powerful, and Kenji's working for him. Raj stared out the window. They're trying to silence me again. First time, I stayed quiet. But not this time. He stood up. I need to go back. Sarah blinked. Buck. Raj nodded. To Tokyo? I need to face Yamato. Not with fists, but with facts. Sarah frowned. But what can you get from there? Proof. Maybe something he forgot to bury. Something that connects Kenji, Yamato, and this attack. Sarah looked at him. You go? I come too. He smiled faintly. Thank you. The next morning they landed in Tokyo. It had been years since Raj walked these streets. The air smelled the same, a mix of soy, rain, and distant train smoke. But the people, they looked colder. They went straight to Yamato's old company. It had changed names, but some of the staff were still there. Raj used a trick. He applied for a cleaning job again. Just temporary, he said. I need work. They let him in. No one recognized him in the janitor's uniform. That night, while cleaning an old records room, he found a locked cabinet. Here it is, he whispered. He picked the lock, an old habit he learned years ago. Inside were files, old emails, letters, payments, contracts, and photos. One showed Yamato shaking hands with Kenji. Another showed a secret meeting dated just 1 week ago. Raj. He took pictures of everything. Suddenly a voice behind him. Well done. He turned. Kenji stood there. I knew you'd come. Kenji said softly. You always loved the truth too much. Raj stared at him. So why betray it? Kenji sighed. Because truth doesn't pay bills. Loyalty doesn't get you a seat at the top. Raj took a step forward. You're scared of me. Kenji didn't deny it. You're everything I should have been, but I took shortcuts. Raj narrowed his eyes. It's not too late. Kenji shook his head. For me it is, but maybe not for you. He stepped aside. Go, take it, let the world see. Raj didn't wait. He ran. Back in Tokyo airport. Sarah uploaded everything to a clean server. She contacted 3 honest journalists. Soon, headlines flashed across the world. Raj's past exposes corporate rot. Proof of sabotage surfaces. Kenji connected to bribe scandal. The janitor who fought back. Raj leaned against the airport glass. Tears in his eyes. Sarah handed him a coffee. Ready to go home? He nodded. Yes. But just as they turned, his phone rang. It was the CEO. We've got a problem, the voice said. Raj froze. The investors are flying in early. Someone told them there's one more secret you're hiding. Raj's heart dropped. What secret? The line went dead. The plane landed back in the city just as the sun was setting behind the tall glass towers. Raj stepped out into the terminal, but his heart wasn't calm. He had exposed the men who tried to destroy him. He had earned the respect of powerful people. He had become the voice of those who were always ignored. But now, someone had whispered about a secret, and the Japanese investors were flying in early to hear it. Sarah walked beside him in silence. Raj finally spoke. Why now? What could they possibly know? She looked at him carefully. Is there anything in your past that could be twisted? Anything someone might use? Raj thought hard. Then his face changed. Yes, he said slowly. There is one thing. One thing I never told anyone. Sarah stopped walking. He looked down, hands in his pockets. Years ago in Japan, before I was a janitor, I was arrested. Sarah's eyes widened. What? Raj nodded, his voice calm. It was for speaking out. Back in his apartment, Raj sat on the edge of the sofa. Sarah sat across from him, notebook in hand. He told her everything. I was a student, passionate. I loved languages, culture, fairness. One day, I found out that a major Japanese corporation was underpaying foreign workers and falsifying reports. He looked away, remembering. I reported it to a newspaper, but the company was protected by powerful politicians. Instead of an investigation, they charged me with data theft. Sarah whispered, Were you guilty? Raj shook his head. I only copied what was already public. But it didn't matter. I was thrown in jail for 3 weeks. No trial. Then, I was blacklisted. He paused. That's when I became a janitor. No one would hire me after that. Sarah's pen stopped moving. Do the investors know this? She asked. Raj looked at her. I think someone told them. The next morning, the company's top boardroom was packed. The Japanese investors entered quietly. Mr. Nakamura had a folder in his hand. Everyone sat down. Cameras were off. This wasn't a press moment, it was war. Mr. Nakamura placed the folder on the table. Raj-san, he said slowly. Before we move forward, there is something you must explain. He slid the folder across the table. Inside was a copy of an old arrest record, dated 15 years ago. Raj didn't flinch. He stood up, bowed deeply in Japanese style, and said in fluent Japanese, I have no shame in what I did. Gasps filled the room. He continued, slowly and respectfully. I was young. I loved Japan, but I saw something wrong and I tried to speak up. I believed justice would win. Instead, I was silenced. He paused, but that moment taught me what real courage is. That even janitors can stand tall if they hold the truth. One investor whispered to another in Japanese. Mr. Nakamura looked at Raj, his expression unreadable. Then he stood and bowed back. I believe you, Raj-san, but not everyone in this room does. Raj nodded. Then allow me to prove myself again. After the meeting, the CEO pulled Raj aside. Half the investors are with you, the other half want to walk. Raj wiped sweat from his forehead. What can I do? The CEO hesitated. There's one last thing that might win them over. Something dramatic. Something they'll never forget. Raj looked confused. What? The CEO handed him a printed program. Tokyo World Forum, Global Business Speech tonight. You're invited, the CEO said. The world's media will be there. Speak to them, not just in English, in Japanese. From the heart, Raj stared at the flyer. He hadn't spoken on a stage in years. He had never spoken in front of cameras, and now, he was being asked to tell the whole world who he was. That evening, backstage at the Tokyo Forum, the lights were blinding. News crews from around the world had gathered. The host's voice echoed, "Now welcome the man whose journey went from janitor's broom to the boardroom, Raj Mehta." Applause thundered. Raj walked slowly to the podium. He looked out at the audience. Then, he opened his mouth and began to speak in Japanese. The room fell silent. He told them everything. His childhood in India, his dreams of Japan, his arrest, his years as a janitor, the betrayal, the deal, but most of all he spoke of dignity. Respect doesn't come from clothes, or titles, or money, he said. It comes from how you treat the person who sweeps your floor. His voice cracked. I was laughed at, but I never laughed back. I chose to work harder. And finally, he bowed deeply. The room stood, applause rang out. Tears filled people's eyes. Even the harshest critics stood up backstage. Mr. Nakamura walked up and hugged him. You've done it, Raj-san. Raj smiled with tired eyes. Let's finish the deal. But as he stepped outside to leave, a man stepped out of the shadows. Yamato. Odor, colder, but still dangerous. You've become very loud, he said in English. Raj stood tall. Your time is up. Yamato smiled darkly. Mine? No, I'm just beginning. You see? He handed Raj a small envelope. Raj opened it. Inside was a photo, an old photo of Raj holding a sign during a protest in front of a factory, where an explosion had happened just days later. This photo makes you look like the cause, Yamato whispered. Let's see how your precious investors feel when they think you have blood on your hands. Raj froze. Yamato walked away into the night. The next morning, headlines exploded across the internet. Janitor turned executive, linked to deadly blast. Raj, metahero, or hidden villain. Photo suggests protester may have known more than he said. Raj sat frozen, staring at the screen. It was the same photo Yamato had shown him the night before. A younger Raj, holding a protest sign, and behind him the now infamous factory, where 5 workers had died in an explosion days later. The headlines didn't care about facts. They just wanted fire. Sarah burst into the room. You need to talk to the press now. Raj shook his head slowly. If I speak now, they'll twist it. Just like they twisted that photo. Sarah's voice trembled. They're pulling back from the deal. Raj, you're losing everything. At the company headquarters, the CEO looked pale. Papers were flying, phones ringing non-stop. He grabbed Raj by the shoulder. Did you lie to us? He asked directly. Raj's eyes narrowed. No, I was protesting worker abuse. That explosion happened days later. I had nothing to do with it. But Yamato sent this to every board member in Japan, the CEO said. They're scared. Half of them think you're dangerous? Raj clenched his fists. I won't run from this, he said, but deep inside, his mind was breaking. He had only just earned their respect. And now, the whole world was ready to throw him away again. That night, Raj sat on the rooftop of his apartment, staring at the stars. Sarah brought him tea. He didn't speak. She sat beside him, quiet for a moment, then said, I believe you, but this won't go away on its own. Raj's voice cracked. What if I can't fight this one? What if this is where it ends? Sarah turned to him. You spent years mopping floors while people laughed at you. You survived prison. You stood in front of the world and won them over. You don't get to give up now. He looked at her, something flickering in his eyes. Then, what do I do? Sarah took a breath. You find the truth. Real proof. Something that destroys the photo story. We fight their fire with facts. The next morning, Raj and Sarah were at a dusty records building in Japan. They searched for safety reports, newspaper clippings, and eyewitness accounts from that factory blast 15 years ago. Hours passed. Then suddenly, Sarah gasped. I found something. She pulled out an old interview from a small Japanese newspaper. It was from a survivor of the explosion, the man said. I remember seeing Raj Mehta warning workers 2 days earlier. He said the gas valve was leaking. He wasn't causing trouble, he was trying to save lives. Raj stared at the page. Tears filled his eyes. That's it, he whispered. That's the truth. Sarah smiled. And now we tell the world. Back in Tokyo, Raj requested a press conference. Journalists packed the room. Cameras rolled. Live streams spread the news around the world. Raj stood at the podium, holding the old newspaper. He spoke clearly. I did not cause the explosion. I was trying to prevent it. He showed the interview. Translated every word. He paused. I'm not a perfect man, but I've never walked away from truth. Not when I was a janitor, and not now. A hush fell over the room. Then clapping. One journalist stood, then another, and another. The story flipped again. Raj wasn't a suspect, he was a whistleblower, a hero. That same night, the CEO called him. You saved the deal again. The investors want to sign tomorrow. Raj sighed in relief, but Sarah was watching the TV. Behind him, her face turned cold. Raj, she said softly, come look. On the news screen, breaking, Yamato Corporation chairman, arrested in bribery case. Raj's eyes narrowed. Yamato had finally been caught. The next morning, Raj walked into the company boardroom. Mr. Nakamura and the other investors were waiting. There were no more doubts. Mr. Nakamura stood and bowed. You've proven more than business skill, Raj, and you've proven honor. He handed over the signed deal papers. The billion-dollar partnership was official. Raj held the folder. His hands trembled not with fear, but with pride. Years of being invisible, mocked, pushed aside, it all led to this. As Raj walked out of the boardroom, the sun was shining. Employees clapped for him in the halls. Some even cried. Janitors bowed as he passed. One of them whispered, you make us proud. Raj stopped. He turned to the man, smiled gently, and said, you were always proud. The world just forgot to see it. Later that night, Raj stood alone in the office. Sarah entered quietly. You did it. He looked at her, not alone. They shared a soft, emotional silence. Then Sarah held out her phone. Yamato's arrest has led to something else. A new investigation has begun. Raj frowned. What now? Sarah's voice lowered. A hidden file, buried under layers, connected to the original bribes, and possibly to someone on our board. Raj's expression hardened. The war wasn't over. Someone inside had helped Yamato. And now Raj would have to find the traitor within. The next morning, Raj walked into the building not as a janitor or a translator, but as the man who saved the company's future. People smiled. Some even stood when he passed by, but behind those smiles, something felt off. His mind kept returning to Sarah's words from the night before. Someone from our own board is connected to Yamato. Raj knew one thing: if they could betray him once, they could do it again. And this time, the cost could be greater than just a deal. Raj returned to his new corner office. But he didn't sit. Instead, he stood by the window, deep in thought. Who could it be? Mr. Nakamura? No. He was the one who helped save the deal. The CEO? Maybe, but he'd seemed genuinely shaken. Raj's eyes narrowed. There was only one person who had access to Yamato's documents, and also full clearance to internal files. Mr. Louis Hayashi, the company's chief legal advisor, always calm, always smiling, and always watching. Raj met Sarah in the parking garage that evening, away from security cameras. We have to be careful, he whispered. If he's feeding information, he'll know if we dig too hard. Sarah nodded. So how do we expose him? Raj smiled slightly. We don't. We let him expose himself. Sarah raised an eyebrow. How? We give him something tempting, dangerous, and we watch what he does with it. That night, Raj prepared a fake document. It was labeled, Confidential, Internal Audit, on Yamato Ties, for board eyes only. The paper mentioned a list of suspects, but the names were fake. The document ended with a bold line. Evidence points to a single traitor on the board. Full name and proof in locked server to be released at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Raj placed it in his encrypted folder and left the password in a separate location only he and Sarah knew. Then, quietly, he called the company's cyber team. Monitor any access attempts tonight, he instructed. Especially on this file, they agreed. Now, it was a waiting game. At 2:17 a.m., Sarah's phone buzzed. She sat up in bed and read the alert. Unauthorized attempt to access file. Confidential_audit.pdf. Sarah's heart pounded. She called Raj immediately. He was already awake. Was it Hayashi? She asked. Raj's voice was steady. Let's find out. He drove straight to the building. The cyber team traced the IP. It was from Hayashi's office terminal. Raj stared. At the screen he took the bait. The next day, Raj asked to meet the entire board for an urgent concern. They gathered in the boardroom. Mr. Nakamura, the CEO, the investors, and Louis Hayashi. Raj stood at the head of the table. I discovered something troubling, he began. A breach. Hayashi frowned. A breach? Yes, Raj said. Someone tried to steal confidential data about the Yamato case. The room grew quiet. I had our cyber team monitor the server. The access attempt came from this building. At 2:17 a.m., Hayashi shifted uncomfortably. That could be anyone. Raj nodded. You're right. He clicked a remote. The screen lit up. CCTV footage. Hayashi in the building. At 2:15 a.m., the boardroom fell silent. Hayashi's hands trembled. It's not what you think. Then what is it? Raj asked gently. Hayashi couldn't answer. The CEO stood. You've been working with Yamato this whole time, haven't you? Hayashi broke. Yes, he shouted, but only to protect us. I was promised the company would grow. Yamato said it was strategic. Strategic, Raj echoed. You gave our enemy our secrets. Hayashi looked down. He had nothing left to say. The board voted to remove him immediately. Raj didn't celebrate. he just sat in silence. Another betrayal. Another man who smiled in his face and stabbed him behind his back. Sarah walked over after the meeting. You okay? Raj shrugged. It never ends. She placed a hand on his shoulder. But you keep standing, that's what makes you different. Later that day, a new email popped up on Raj's screen that it was from Yamato's personal assistant, now working with the government. Investigation. The message was simple. There's one more file. One more name. Someone above Hayashi. Someone you never expected. Attached was a single voice recording. Raj clicked play. At first just static. Then a voice, clear, calm, familiar, and deadly. It said, keep Raj busy. If he gets too close, well, make sure he disappears like last time. Raj's eyes widened. He knew that voice, and it wasn't Hayashi. It was the CEO. Raj sat frozen in his chair, the voice still echoing in his ears. The voice he trusted. The man who gave him a second chance. The CEO. He replayed the audio. Keep Raj busy. If he gets too close, we'll make sure he disappears like last time. Disappear. Like last time, Raj whispered. Suddenly, old wounds reopened. The 5 years in prison, the fake fraud case, the job applications rejected. The silence that followed. Had the CEO known all along? Raj printed the audio transcript and locked it in his drawer. Then he looked out the window. The sun was setting, but inside him, a storm was rising. He called Sarah. Meet me at my place. Urgent. Later that evening, Raj laid out everything. On the table in front of her, the printed transcript, the original voice file, and a list of all meetings the CEO had with Yamato's board. Sarah looked up at him, shocked. This means he was in on it from the start. Raj nodded. He brought me back not because he believed in me, but to keep me close, to control me. Sarah clenched her fists. What do we do now? We expose him, Raj said, voice firm but carefully. The next day, Raj requested a private meeting with the CEO. He walked into the office, calm on the outside, but inside, every step was heavy. The CEO smiled. Raj, you've done amazing work. The board respects you now. The company. Raj cut him off. How long? He asked quietly. The CEO blinked. How long? What? How long have you been working with Yamato? The smile faded. Raj, I don't know what you're talking about. I have the voice recording. Silence. The CEO sat back in his chair. I see. Raj leaned forward. You let me rot. In jail. You watched me mop your floors. You fed me lies while smiling in my face. The CEO's eyes narrowed. You think anyone would have believed your story back then? You were a nobody, a janitor, a risk. Raj stood. You're wrong. I'm not a nobody now, and I'm not afraid of you anymore. That evening, Raj sent the audio file to the government. Officials who were already investigating Yamato's side of the fraud. He included a letter. The betrayal wasn't just from Yamato. It came from within our own walls. He attached the CEO's calendar, showing hidden meetings with Yamato's team. Then he waited. 2 days later, chaos news outlets exploded with headlines. Tech CEO accused in foreign espionage case. Whistleblower. Janitor reveals billion-dollar corruption from custodian to hero, the man who spoke truth. The CEO was placed under investigation and barred from entering company premises. Share prices wobbled, then slowly stabilized thanks to Raj's growing influence. But the board was in shock. One by one, they apologized to Raj. We were wrong about you. You saved us. You did what no one else had the courage to do. Yet, Raj didn't smile. He stood in the boardroom, eyes serious. I don't want a medal. I don't want a new title. They looked confused. I want this company to be honest, to give people a fair chance, to never judge someone by the clothes they wear or the mop in their hand. There was silence. Then, applause. Outside the building, a young janitor stopped Raj. Sir, he said nervously, I used to be ashamed of this job, but after what you did, I feel proud. Raj smiled softly. Don't let anyone tell you your work is small. The world can't move without people like us. That night, as Raj walked into his apartment, he found a small envelope slipped under his door. Inside was a photo. His younger brother. Smiling. Alive. And a note. You found your truth. Now find his. Raj's hands trembled. He thought his brother died years ago in that fire. That was the official story, but someone lied. Then now someone wanted him to find the truth. The photo wouldn't leave Raj's hands. That it was his brother. Arjun alive, smiling. The boy who used to fix old radios, dream of space, and run faster than anyone in the village. The boy Raj thought had died in the factory fire 10 years ago, but someone had lied, and someone wanted him to know. Raj stared at the note again. You found your truth. Now find his. He knew what he had to do. Next morning, Raj called Sarah and explained everything. She didn't hesitate. I'm coming with you. Within 2 hours, they were on a train heading to the old town where it all began. The train passed fields, forests, and rusted factory lines. Raj watched the memories blur past. This is where it all started, he said quietly. Sarah nodded. And maybe, where it ends. They reached the abandoned village just before sunset. The old factory stood like a skeleton, burned, broken, forgotten. Raj walked through the rusted gates, boots crunching the blackened soil. Flashbacks hit him. Siren smoke, fire licking the sky, and his brother, coughing, pushing Raj out first, then nothing. He was told Arjun never made it, but now, Raj searched through old files at the village clerk's office. Most records were gun-burned or lost, but one caught his eye. Arjun Varma, transferred to Program 76. Clearance level, private. Date, the day after the fire. Sarah leaned in, Program 76. What is that? Raj's heart pounded. I don't know, but someone took him. He didn't die. They followed the trail to the city, private hospitals, old caseworkers. Finally, a name. Dr. Miyamoto, Japanese, former military, worked with Yamato's Special Research Division. A decade ago, Raj's hands went cold. Yamato again. They tracked Dr. Miyamoto to a quiet nursing home. He was old now, in a wheelchair, but his eyes were sharp. When Raj showed him the photo, the man sighed deeply. I was forced to erase many lives, but some I remember well. Your brother was gifted, fluent in languages, sharp mind. We saved him from the fire, but not from the system. Where is he now? Raj asked, breathless. The old man nodded slowly. In Japan, new name, watched closely, but still alive. 2 days later, Raj stood on a snowy Tokyo street, staring up at a modest apartment building. His heart felt like it would burst. He walked up the stairs slowly. Room 306. His hand shook as he knocked. The door opened. A man stood there. Same eyes, same slight smile, but older, quieter, wounded. Raj, the man whispered. Raj couldn't breathe. Arjun. His brother stepped forward, and they hugged like time had frozen. I thought I lost you, Raj said, voice cracking. They told me you died in prison, Arjun replied, tears rolling down his face. I never stopped looking. Raj whispered, sat for hours, catching up. Arjun had been taken into a secret tech division after the fire used for translation, code breaking, and cyber research. He was too valuable to be released, too dangerous to be free. Why now? Raj asked. Why? Did they let me find you? Arjun took out a letter. It had one name on it, the CEO. He finally felt guilty, Arjun said. He sent me this before he was arrested. Raj was stunned. He watched us both suffer, and in the end, tried to fix it. Back home, Raj returned to the company, but this time with purpose. He didn't just clean floors. He built new bridges with foreign partners, with new staff, with people like him who were once judged and discarded. He launched a program, Rise, to help workers grow from janitors to managers, coders, and translators. His first guest speaker, Arjun. When Arjun stood before the crowd, speaking in 5 languages, there was silence, then thunderous applause. Months passed, the company healed, and Raj, he now walked the halls with quiet dignity, not because people praised him but because he knew who he was. He once held a mop. Now, he held the respect of a nation. One day, a group of young interns laughed as a janitor passed by them with a mop. Raj happened to walk past at that moment. He stopped, looked at the janitor, then turned to the interns. Do you know how much Japanese that man speaks? He asked. They blinked. No, sir. He speaks enough to save $1 billion deal. And he walked away, smiling.